Welcome to the Liberated Feminine Podcast. I'm Lucy Lampy, your host, and in today's episode, we're exploring 3 ways you can immediately begin to let go of good girl programming and embrace your bad bitch era, aka your dark feminine, aka your true authentic self. All right, so first of all, what is good girl programming? And we've all been splashed by this, okay, to some extent. Some of us have been completely immersed in it. Some of us have nearly drowned in it and found our way back out. But essentially, it is the message that we have internalized as women that it is better and safer to keep ourselves small, silent, demure, agreeable, palatable, diluted to whatever degree we must, to not ruffle any feathers. And this runs really deep, y'all. Now, these 3 tips are just the tip of the iceberg. My upcoming book is actually titled R.I.P. to the Good Girl, and it will be releasing in June. So stay tuned for that if you are listening to this episode before then. And what I will say about this entire book, it has been I don't want to say a labor of love. That doesn't even sound right. I get the heart behind something being a labor of love, but it felt like an outpouring of truth, an outpouring of love. And so I'm so excited to not even begin to cover how I feel about sharing this book. So right here in this episode, here are 3 ways that you can begin to stop, cut it out with the good girl programming. All right, maybe you don't even know that you're doing this. Number 1, stop apologizing so damn much. A lot of us, and this was me the majority of my life, not even knowing it, walk around and perhaps maybe not even with our words as if we're saying, I'm sorry, profusely, but we walk around with an energy of apology. Apologizing for taking up space, apologizing for having an opinion, apologizing for having a need, a desire, a want, a fear, an objection. Looking for validation that what we need is not too much, that who we are is not too much, that reassurance, the constant need for reassurance. There is an apologetic nature behind it. I understand that there are other layers. There is trauma. There are different life events, attachment styles, relational wounds, all these kinds of things. I get that. And beneath all of this is a common thread of this feeling that somehow we need to validate our existence. And so we're fixated on goodness instead of committed to our wholeness. And sometimes in our wholeness, we are going to be too much. Honey, you are going to be too much. And this is not about steamrolling anyone else or violating anyone's boundaries, but about giving yourself space to just want, giving yourself space to need, giving yourself space to express and have your opinions and your variety of ways to look at something. The space that you need, that no one is going to just hand to you. It's something that you must create for yourself. So anytime that I talk about any of this, it's not about being cruel and cold-hearted and unkind and disrespectful. No, honey, no, that is not how we roll here. That's not how we roll. It's about being authentic, creating space for all parts of yourself, and then discerning how are you going to bring those deeper distilled truths into your relational spaces. And furthermore, how can you be witnessed in those spaces with consent? Now, along this theme of not apologizing so damn much, sometimes we just got to shift I'm so sorry for this to thank you. For example, when I have been extra busy, like when I was just writing this book and I was deep in the portal of creation. And of course, I'm not staying there 24/7. I've got a family, I've got a partner, I've got, other things in life. And so I'm emerging for connection and for the day-to-day partner and mom things. the life things. But I wasn't necessarily emerging for every single text message that came through. And my sisterhood, my close friends, they know this. They know we don't have expectations of each other to respond right away. If it is an emergency, we will say that right off the bat. But this is something that I've gotten to practice for years now, just in my private life of friendships and family, but especially with friendships, saying, instead of, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's been this many days or this long. I will say, thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for sharing what you shared. And thank you for receiving me. So that shift from I'm so sorry to thank you is a huge one. You will feel it in your entire energy field when you start doing this. Now, it might be really uncomfortable and wildly uncomfortable because it feels unfamiliar. It feels foreign to your body, to your nervous system. Give it time. Give it time. And then also I want to add a little caveat to this number one point, in that when you do fuck up, because you will, because you're human, I do this. Like, we're all human here. We're not trying to bypass our humanity and achieve perfection. That is not reasonable. So when you do fuck up, that doesn't mean don't apologize, right? But often apologies fall flat because they are not followed by action. They're not followed by commitment. They are not followed by change. They're not accompanied by deep empathy. So what I like to suggest instead of apologizing, first right off the bat, when you do something that you're actually like, oh, that was too far, is to acknowledge. And maybe for you, part of that in the verbiage of it, in the actual literal words is, I'm sorry I hurt you. But there's a big difference between that and over-explaining and being overly apologetic and feeling, the whole shame spiral and going down that rabbit trail. And then what's really happening is you're making it about you and how traumatized you are by hurting someone else, instead of keeping the focus on, hey, how can I be here for you now, to the person who you inadvertently hurt. So acknowledging, hey, I did that. I said that. I called you that. I forgot that thing that you asked me to do. And I see the impact that it made on you. And this is really where you empathize. This is where you see their pain. When someone else feels that you see their pain, maybe I'll do a whole other episode on this, but that is a game changer. It's more than just an empty, I'm sorry, or an I'm sorry, I'll never do that again. But then deep down, their body doesn't trust that that's true. And finally, in that process is recommitting, making a clear commitment on what it is that you are doing or not doing moving forward, so that they know, okay, this is a measurable, clear change. My nervous system can rest in this commitment. And then there's accountability. So acknowledge and recommit instead of apologizing profusely. Number 2, stop beating around the bush. All right. Good girls, they beat around the bush. They try to make things nicer, palatable, sweeter, take the bitterness out of the bitter truth. But say what you mean and mean what you say. Again, I'm not saying to be cruel. Don't be a cruel bitch or a cold-hearted bitch. Like, no. But your honesty is perhaps the kindest, most loving thing that you can give to someone. Now, some of us could, perhaps refine our skills on how to deliver those deeper truths in a way that is not projecting, denying, over-explaining, judging, or criticizing. Because this is not something that we just naturally learn how to do. This is a learned skill. And if you were really, really lucky, you had caregivers who modeled this for you and showed you firsthand how to do that in a way that is compassionate and loving and kind. Most of the time, we tend to go to one extreme over the other of, people pleasing and fawning and bending over backwards and trying to just make everything just as soft as possible for the other person in our delivery. Or we will be on the other extreme of, well, fuck you anyways. Like, here's my truth. Here's how I'm feeling, and you just have to take it. And that's not it either. So this perhaps a whole other workshop or course in and of its own, but like just all by itself. And actually, if there's any of this that you want to go deeper into, especially in the relational aspect, I highly encourage you to go check out my bundles for relationships at thewildawakening.com. There are several. And in those, there are different tools for navigating conflict and actually growing in intimacy through conflict. So, thewildawakening.com. P.S. Okay, number 3. Oh, this one is personal. This one is personal to me. Number 3, the third way you can immediately begin to let go of good girl programming is to stop laughing at shit you don't actually find funny. And maybe if you, like me, have had this pattern so deeply ingrained in your nervous system that laughter, nervous laughter, mindless chuckling at something is a way to diffuse the discomfort. You're not alone. You're not alone. No judgment here from me whatsoever. What I will say is that this particular telltale sign of good girl programming was my biggest red flag when I first started getting into just being a human being that was honest with herself. I started to notice how much I would laugh at things that I actually found not just not funny, but actually offensive, belittling, derogatory, racist, all kinds of different strokes of offensive. And I would just, and try to move on or divert the conversation somewhere else. This doesn't mean that we have to confront everything and say, hey, that's a dumb joke, man. Or like, hey, this is offensive. Pick your battles. But I certainly started to step in and step up and speak up about things that I thought, that's not funny. I don't find that funny. And that doesn't mean you have to start a fight and make it a whole thing and lose your peace over it and lose your shit over it, unless it really is worth losing your shit over for you. But the point is, when you start to really become aware, where am I just diffusing the discomfort in my own body? Nothing wrong with that, of course. This is like a form of self-soothing. It's like, oh, that's a shocker. Oh, that's this. Oh, let's take the edge off by laughing a little bit and make it lighter. Make light of it. Absolutely a survival strategy. And let's just see it for what it is and also appreciate it for what it is. Because maybe there is a time and a place for that. But in your day-to-day life, in the 99% of your life, it doesn't belong there. And what happens, I remember what happened in my body often, right after I would have that just visceral laughing response, is I would go into this feeling of embarrassment and just that ick feeling of, why did I laugh at that? That was dumb, or that was offensive, or, oh no, I think I'm encouraging that person, especially if it was someone in my immediate family or immediate life. And so I began to go back and clean up those things and say, especially when it came to my kids, it's like sometimes when they're younger, they have these, and I'm not talking toddlers, I mean like elementary school. And they're trying to figure out what's cool, and they're trying to figure out, oh, this is a funny joke. I heard this from my friend here. And then they say it at the dinner table, and it's like, no, that's actually really offensive to this group of people, or this is really racist, or this is really misogynistic. They're big enough to have these conversations, my kids at this point. And so never to shame anybody, really, as much as possible. I like to see the inner child in every person that I encounter, especially in my relationships, even random strangers, but as much as I have the capacity for it. But to see, okay, well, what part of you is reaching for just connection right now? Validation, acceptance, a pat on the back of like, good job learning a joke, and I see that part of my child that is saying that, and then just let them know, like, look, this is not funny, and here's why. But for me to initially not laugh in that specific context with one particular of my kids is still challenging to me. And he'll say something and I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes it actually is funny, but it's just not appropriate for me to laugh. All the parents out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They make a good joke. They hit a that's what she said, like right at the right moment. And it really makes sense, but it's in just like not the context that you need to be expressing that. Like, we do this at home, not here. Context is so much of it. But anyways, when you are dealing with just people in your lives, adults, you know, let's bring it back to the adult communication. You do no one any favors by laughing at something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And when you stop to deploy this tool as a self-protecting mechanism, and you instead, because you're not just tool-less here, now you're replacing that tool with a different tool, the tool of truth, the skills of truth-telling. Because communication is not just about the words that you are saying, it's the context in which you are saying it. It's taking into account the person that you're speaking to, your history together, the vision of the relationship, their attachment styles, their traumas, all these different things. It's we can't just paint this with one single paint stroke. Okay. You're going to really need to tap into your discernment. And this is why I encourage everyone, not just women, everyone, to have that space for themselves to really let the illusions of peace and the illusions of truth unravel and be purified by whether you're working with the dark feminine, the dark goddesses, just think of it as love itself, beams of love, God, universe, spirit guides, ancestors, whatever it may be, so that you can better identify those truths and bring them to the table instead of just your feelings. Because your heart is more than just what you're feeling in the temporary moment. And the more that you step into integrity with yourself and simple things like this, not laughing when you don't think it's funny. And when you do have that just very visceral response, taking a moment to just notice it and observe it. Observe your reaction. Don't judge it. Don't say, oh, damn it, I did it again. I laughed at some stupid shit. No, just observe it and appreciate that you've had this thing there to help you, stay safer somehow. And then if you need to go back and clean something up and have a conversation with someone, do that. Do that. This is you exercising that courage muscle. This is you exercising that bad bitch era collection of tools that you have access to now. So let me know at support@thewildawakening.com or in the comments below if you have access to a comment section in the app you're listening this to now. What or which of these three, maybe all of them, are you excited to shift now? Not like, oh, damn, I got to work on this, but like, what are you excited to actually shift? Because this is going to set you free more. This is going to set you free to be more you. And not just the other end of the swing of the pendulum of, well, this is my truth and now you just have to take it. But to begin dropping deeper into that soul knowing, that heart truth that you can only really reach once you begin distilling all of the distortions in the way. And a lot of those distortions are created by this good girl programming. So for so much more on burying and honoring the good girl that you have been, that got you to this point, she got you this far. Good for her. Now you're ready for something different, something greater, something deeper. Stay tuned for more news on my upcoming book, R.I.P. to the Good Girl. And in the meantime, be sure to register for my newest course, Dark Feminine Codes, because within that, I will be releasing exclusive previews of the audio chapters, as well as, of course, all of the really good, yummy stuff on how to explore and embody and integrate your dark feminine. So thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, here's to liberating your wild feminine heart. You bring the boom, I bring the bass. Give me a taste, they me the waste. I'm your little plaything. I got